Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions. I am your host, James P. Madonna, as seen on the web since 2007, doing progressive podcasts, progressive talk radio way before that. It is Sunday. Yes, it is the dog days of summer. It's hazy, hot, and humid. We're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave, but then again, 'tis the season, and that's what's happening. You know, it is what it is. But before you know it, once we get towards the end of August, sometimes the middle of August, but let's just say towards the end of August, then the temperature will cool down and normally, and people will start feeling Labor Day weekend and autumn in their bones, and that's my favorite time of year, is autumn. Autumn is just a wonderful, invigorating, energizing season with fun holidays and the beautiful autumn foliage, the foliage, the many colors of early death that takes place with the leaves on the tree. As beautiful as they are, when it goes from green and, with all that rich chlorophyll from photosynthesis, and it starts turning those beautiful colors, that represents the leaves on their deathbed. I hate to put it that way, but it happens to be true. But it'll go fast, you know how Father Time is. Okay. And we're off. This is the levity bell and the decorum bell. In case my guests get out of hand, instead of strain my voice by shouting, I use this. And if I say something real funny, I ring this also. Okay, so how is everybody out there? The lazy, hazy, crazy days of summer. Let me play that song. Excuse me. All right. I have something here to quench my thirst. A very nice special hazy IPA. All right. India Pale Ale. Hey, look who's here. My buddy from the state of Michigan, Sydney. Sid is here, our official male rights activist at Red Pill and Alpha Male. Oh yeah, we're gonna be discussing that. Wait till you see the topics. Wait till you see the topics. What the hell's taking them so long, man? This is what happens. Listen, if people were smart, the average American voter, which they're really not. Okay, they're missing some much needed brain cells. But the smart voter, the educated consumer, the smart voter, the person that doesn't believe everything they see and hear on mainstream media, they know that the two-party system is in bed with the oligarch. They know the two-party system, the establishment, is corrupt, and they're on the take. And if they were really smart, they would know that the DNC screwed over Bernie Sanders twice. Bernie Sanders had legions of people showing up at his rallies, legions. In comparison to Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, or even Joe Biden, Bernie, people felt the burn, but the DNC didn't want a true progressive. Nah, that meant that the rich, the top 1%, well, even the top 2% will start paying their fair share in income taxes, and the burden will come off the shoulders of the middle class, and rightfully so. They knew that. But the corporate whores of the two-party system that are on the take with the DNC, they knew it. They knew that Joe Biden was an establishment capitalist, moderate, maybe sometimes to the right of center. Democrat. They knew what they got with Joe Biden, but Joe Biden was simply the lesser of two evils. Think about that, folks. Yeah, he's protecting the fat cats. Oh, I know it. I know it for sure. He's protecting the fat cats there, Sid. You are officially my co-host because you're here with me. It's the top 1%, the hedge fund managers and PE managers only have to pay carried interest, which is like 15% tax instead of normal 50% plus marginal tax rate that people pay for normal income tax. And what about that great progressive Republican known as Dwight D. Eisenhower, General Eisenhower, in the 1950s, carrying on to the early 60s? The tax rate on the rich was like, was it 90%? And that's a progressive Republican like Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt. These were progressive Republicans. That was a fair tax rate on the rich. I don't feel sorry for them. Even if they pay the old-fashioned fair tax rate, they're still living high on the hog. The multi-billionaires will be fine. Progressive discussion. There should be a flat tax with some simple deductions, bro, instead of this BS complicated tax code. Okay, now, what was that guy's name? Malcolm Forbes? Well, Forbes, the Forbes family of Forbes magazine, since I was a kid, they were pushing for a flat tax. The problem is that the consumption tax that they wanted to replace the flat tax, the rich would get off scot-free because the rich are not really the true consumers of the country. It's the little guy that will end up paying in sales taxes, consumption taxes. I mean, how many refrigerators do the rich buy? There's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of rich people to go around to be, to be the primary consumer. It's the poor and the middle class. So, I mean, so they pay a lot of taxes on their private jets and their yachts or whatever. But that's a small percentage of the population doing that. Well, it needs to be, it needs a total overhaul. It needs to detoxify. It needs a colon cleanse. It needs a total restoration from top to bottom. Oh, hydrated. I will be hydrated once I crack this can open. Bart Robinson, my friend. Feliz Domingo. Happy Sunday. I would propose taxing wealth after 50 million or so and increasing simple tax rates on higher income over 1 million. Well, we're supposed to have a progressive tax system. The more money you make, the more taxes you pay. All right, sounds fair, right? But these greedy, stingy motherfuckers, I'm talking about everyone within the top 2%. They cry with no matter what tax rate progressives want them to pay. They're always going to bitch and bellyache like a bunch of pussies, like a bunch of catty office girls. There he is. My right-hand man, Mr. Jason Cleveland of Seattle, Washington, now on holiday or vacation with his family and on the shores of Oregon, Tillamook. he was showing me some lovely beach photographs with crystal clear skies, not a cloud in the sky, and we were gazing at photos of the geoduck clam. If you don't know what it is, Google it. All right, let me bring up our first article. Hold on. You should get obese smoking guy from Michigan on again, bro. I missed that dude. Well, the dude is angry with me and Jason Cleveland because we took a print screen of him when he passed out on the show and fell asleep. And I told him, don't worry, we're not going to use the photo. And what did he do? He got angry just because of a print screen. We didn't even show the photo. So he was behaving like a big fat baby. And as punishment, I put him, as you well know, last week in the center of the wheel. Spin the wheel, make a deal. But now we have a much funnier image from last Sunday that will be in the center of the wheel, and you will enjoy it. Just eating sausage by the pounds and smoking a pack while on the show. Who's that, you, or is that BC? Italian. Well, I've been buying Patsy's brand freshly made Italian sausage with parsley and cheese inside. And Patsy's is a famous Italian restaurant in Midtown Manhattan where Frank Sinatra used to hang out all the time. It was his favorite. And now the sausage is available in our stores over here. And it is good. The quality of the pork is really good. Lean, no gristle, no bone fragments. All right, hold on. The Tillamook Cheese Factory. I didn't know that Oregon had an enthusiasm and a passion for cheese like I do. I eat real cheese. I don't eat that processed garbage like called American cheese, Cheese Whiz, Velveeta. That's not for me. Well, his real first name is Christopher Nichols, a capital Nichols of Michigan. BC smoking and coughing all over the place and making high fat sausage by like 5 pounds at a time, was Pete Kelly. Even though you and I do not agree, Ronald J. Terrio, the great Ronald J. Terrio, even though you and I do not agree on politics, well, sometimes we do. I enjoy doing the Wild Card Wednesday and Fandango Friday hangouts with you. Well, likewise, I enjoy them very much. I think when we talk about any other subject besides politics, our banter and camaraderie is second to none. Even if we talk about religion, we are 99% at least on the same page. And history, I love history. You're a history professional. So, you know, for the most part, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I guess I'm one of the few people that make you laugh in the community. Politics, I I don't argue. I don't argue anymore. I just, you give, somebody gives their, I give my take, they give their take. But it's when one person gives their take over and over and starts raising their voice and starts to dominate the show and starts to cut you off, and where I have to have the last word. I have to win. It's my way or the highway. And that's how it was, even though I love his music. He's a very talented man. That's how it was with Colin McMenamin. He started to get very demonstrative and louder, and yeah, it was his way or the highway, and that's not the way to do it. Okay, that's my take on politics. BC is in peak health. Yeah, right. Bernie Sanders is trying to get the child tax credit for 300 kid, but they won't pass that. Clearly, they don't care about the average kid in America, bro, and only the super rich. Let me tell you, I'm glad you brought that up, Sid, because I posted a comment on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and TikTok. Yes, I am now on TikTok. Okay. Man, there's a lot of freakazoids over there on TikTok. Oh, Honey Boo Boo's mother and all kinds of like inbred people and ghetto people and everybody. The Chinese that own TikTok, they must think that the United States is one huge insane asylum by the type of people uploading the type of videos and that they're uploading. I mean, they really are the lowest common denominator of society. It really is pathetic, and I just purposely remove them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to see an obese person talking like this, or people cursing, running, fat people running out with a G-string in the street, cursing out their family members or husband. I don't want to see that crap. Now, getting back to helping the child. A right-wing Republican will fight like hell if you're still in the womb, if you're in the womb. But once you're born, you're on your own. You are considered a moocher. A moocher. But if you're in the womb, they love you. Okay, let's continue. Well, they're corporate whores. Both major parties. I'm not a registered Democrat. Both major parties are consisted of on the take, corrupt corporate whores. They're in bed with the oligarch. Jesse Ventura said a politician is not obligated to meet with lobbyists if they don't want to. Oh yeah, Fandango Friday is turned out to be a real special, fantastic show, very unique. When I first came up with the idea on some Google Hangout chat that Ronald had, or maybe Eric Fraunfelter had. Eric Fraunfelter totally bashed it immediately and just blew it off like just made it like it was a stupid idea. And look how it turned out. Because I had a gut feeling about it. Fandango Friday was the brainchild of Casual Friday in the office. Casual Friday. Well, let's take a lot of the seriousness out of these beer and liquor review shows, and let us add a sense of humor, relaxation, not don't feel obligated to perform or talk like a snob, you know, and show off, you know, just be yourself and just have fun and review it also. Do your review. And that's what really the thought that went into Fandango Friday. I don't know what he is. All I know is he's a ticking time bomb, and he better start now. The time to change his lifestyle is now. And Ronald knows what I'm talking about. I mean, Ronald Theriault. Not tomorrow, now. He liked Joe Biden over Bernie because Joe is a salt of the earth, blue collar Joe. Yeah, sure he is. He will feel your pain. Like the time Bill Clinton had that crocodile tear. He probably used one of these eye lubricant when you weren't looking. He rubbed his eye and he went, squirt. I feel your pain. Yeah, sure. That's why he's to the right of center. Yeah, some of these people come to me and just love your videos. But if we disagree on politics, they unfriend and block me. I don't go for that. It's not kosher. You know, let me tell you something, Mr. Theriault. I have a friend from Oklahoma. It's a red state. I guess you can call it an evangelical state. He's on all these social media platforms, but he's very busy on Facebook. His name is Michael Labarre, capital L-A, capital B-A-R-R. Michael Labarre is a very progressive older man, extremely knowledgeable when it comes to politics, living and dealing with life in a red state. And Michael told me a while ago, he says, especially when Trump was in office, he says, my friends that have been my friends, they've been on my Facebook friends list for like years. These people who I thought were my friends, they're unfriending me and blocking me because of our difference in political views. Personally, I've never seen this in my life. I mean, people just unfriending each other like that. If you don't agree with me, you're no good. It's like a sanctimonious, self-righteous church person looking down on others that do not share their views. Like they have a bat phone to God, and oh, you're going to hell. Oh, you're not like me. You don't think like me. Oh, you're going straight to hell. It reminds me of that, and I never seen that in my life. Yeah, he's for the working man. Yeah, you're being funny, Sid. You're being funny. Which is okay. James, I just sent you a picture of the cheese factory. Okay, I'll take a look at it. I love cheese. I mean, anybody who doesn't like cheese really should get a permanent job on the International Space Station and stay there. I can't fathom how anyone dislikes real cheese, especially if it's in a recipe where you're melting it. Loud and demonstrative, not the way to go. No, it's not the way. It's very selfish. It's very rude. It's you just don't do that. It's like, I mean, you've seen it happen in political debates. You know what I say? You get 5 minutes or 3 minutes to say what you need to say. Then when the time is up, you're reminded, "Meh," your time is up, and then your opponent, another person, gets 3 minutes uninterrupted. Now, once a person is interrupting the other candidate, I would mute the microphone. Mute. Just like when there's a lack of decorum on your show, Ronald, you hit the mute button. By golly. We need you doing more live streams, doing sushi videos and all you can eat Chinese, Japanese buffets. You need more eating mates. That was good content. It was good content, but you know, do I feel like walking 4 blocks in 90 degrees and high humidity when I'm dealing with, you know, certain issues? I'm taking a medication that has the side effect of drowsiness. Do I really want to do that? Let's wait until the weather cools down. Let's wait like towards the end of August. Okay. And then I promise I'll be doing that stuff again. You know, all the Asian girls are all like staring at me, giggling when I go live in the restaurant. That's okay. I don't care. I don't care. And then I asked them, you want to say hello on the live stream? And they go, oh no. Yeah. Isn't that funny how Orangey learned the first day how to ring that bell? Ding-a-ling-a-ling, ringing that bell. That was an old disco song. Ding, ding-a-ling-a-ling, ring. You know what my orange hypo tangerine leopard gecko does? Takes a shit in the exact same corner on the exact same side every night. When he wakes up, because he's nocturnal, when he wakes up and comes out of his hide box, he craps exactly in the same corner on the same side of the enclosure. That's a habit. And if I take his hide box out of the enclosure, the lizard gets pissed off. Literally scurries back and forth, pushes my hand away when I try to pet it or pick it up. And then I put the plastic, it's a black plastic hide box with an entry and an exit. Okay, my brother-in-law gave it to me. If I put it back, calm and happy. Isn't that funny? Animals are really interesting, you know. Well, in the state of Nevada, okay, it is legalized, but not in the city of Las Vegas. You have to leave the city of Las Vegas. And of course, you know, if you're in a hotel and you want an escort to come and visit your room, that could be arranged. But as far as bordellos go, you have to leave the city of Las Vegas. And the women have a health department certificate, and they get tested often for sexually transmitted diseases, and they have to pass the test. And I guess they're on the books, as opposed to the illegal form of prostitution. You know, but it should not be out in the streets for young people to see and children. No, and the seniors, you know, unless the seniors used to be swingers back in the 60s, in the hippie days. Why are most American women so fat and have so many tattoos these days? Should men ever have to date obese women or women with tattoos everywhere? Well, maybe in the Midwest and in the southern states, but here we don't have that sort of thing. They usually go to Walmart to do all their shopping, and they wear outfits that they shouldn't be wearing, you know, revealing outfits to reveal their cellulite and blubber. But most of the women are very lean, and they go to health clubs and gyms, and they work out, and they eat properly, and they're in good shape. We don't have the Honey Boo Boo family here in northeastern New Jersey. You got to go into like Hicksville or something, or BCville. I don't know. Maybe it's the average, because the average income is the average salary, and the income is so low, and the poverty rate is so high, and that forces, well, it doesn't force, that encourages them to eat poorly, to eat junk food, to eat food that is cheaper and affordable, which is really sad. And don't forget, a lot of these, many of these states out west, many of these states out west and down south are red states that don't have the social services that we have in the Northeast. I mean, if you're low income, you'll get a decent amount of food stamps. You'll get that card, and you'll get a decent amount to be able to eat healthy. But there's ways around it. I know he is. He is morbidly obese, and he doesn't. No, his income is actually low. BC really said that? Well, he must have told you that, because he never said that to me. He always cried poverty to me. That's why he rides a scooter to work, and a motor scooter to work and to shopping, anywhere he needs to go. He sits on this little scooter, secondhand scooter. So he's either the cheapest motherfucker who ever lived, or he's joking around with you. Okay, let me go to this article. All right, this should be interesting. Speaking of food, speaking of gastronomy, you might have misinterpreted. Okay, here's an interesting article. All right, and I'm going to read. Here's a cockroach. Scientists think cockroach milk could be the next superfood, and we wish we were kidding. By Jacinta Bowerler. Bowerler? What does that mean? She moves her bowels from all that fiber from the cockroaches? An international team of scientists sequenced a protein crystal located in the midgut of cockroaches in 2016. The reason? It's more than 4 times as nutritious as cow's milk, and the researchers think it could be the key to feeding our growing population in the future. Yeah, I have a feeling the growing population they're talking about are the poor, while the upper middle class and the wealthy drink organic goat's milk. Although most cockroaches don't actually produce milk. Okay, that's the Latin name, Diploptera punctate. which is the only known cockroach to give birth to live young. Well, the cockroach that I know of that gives birth to live young is I believe the Madagascar hissing cockroach gives birth to live young. But let me read on. I have one, a live one, in an enclosure with isopods. The fact that an insect produces milk is pretty fascinating. Yeah, but an insect is not a mammal. There's no mammary glands. But what fascinated research is the fact that a single one of these protein crystals contains more than 3 times the amount of energy found in an equivalent amount of buffalo milk, which is also higher in calories than regular cow's milk. Clearly, milking a cockroach isn't the most feasible option. So, an international team of scientists, headed by researchers from the Institute of Stem Cell Biology and Regenerative Medicine in India, decided to sequence the genes responsible for producing the milk protein crystals to see if they could somehow replicate them in the lab. Well, it doesn't surprise me that the Indian scientists are all excited about this, because in Hindu religion, the cow is sacred. And the weather is very hot and tropical in India, so they have plenty of roaches to milk. The crystals are like a complete food. They have proteins, fats, and sugars. If you look into the protein sequences, they have all the essential amino acids, said Sanchari Banerjee, one of the team, in an interview with the Times of India back in 2016. Not only is the milk a dense source of calories and nutrients, it's also time released. As the protein in the milk is digested, the crystal releases more protein at an equivalent rate to continue the digestion. It's time release food, said Subramanian Ramaswamy, who led the project. If you need food that is calorifically high, never heard of that word, that is time release and food that is complete, this is it. It's important to point out that this dense protein source is definitely never going to be for those trying to lose weight. Yeah, the cockroach milk diet. I can see it now. And probably isn't even required for most Western diets, where we are already eating too many calories per day. Don't worry. I don't see this being a huge fad in the United States anytime soon. But for those who struggle to get the amount of calories required per day, this could be a quick and easy way to get calories and nutrients. They're very stable. They can be a fantastic protein supplement, said Rasmawami. Now the researchers have the sequence. They are hoping to get yeast to produce the crystal in much larger quantities, making it slightly more efficient and less gross than extracting crystals from cockroaches' guts. Who needs kale and quinoa when you have cockroach milk supplements? Yeah, we aren't 100% convinced either, but if it helps alleviate the food shortages, we'll have to deal with this generation. We'll take it. The research was published in the Journal of the International Union of Crystallography. Well, you know what? Good luck, India. Good luck. Let's see what I missed here. There we go. Yeah. No, it doesn't. The Ukrainians are tough, man. Ukrainians are really tough, thanks to the weapons that they procured from the United States and from NATO. All right, let me see. I'm going to post the link to join the show right now in the comment section for anyone that wishes to join. And there we go. Okay, the link to join is now there. And as long as you behave yourself and don't bust my balls, everything will be fine. All right. Okay. Let me go on to the next. What happened now? Huh. That's weird. All my topics vanished from where I had it. Well, I'm gonna have to ad-lib the topics. Let me see if they return. Gee willikers. Isn't that something, how it vanished? Oh, that's weird. Okay. Well, that's not good. That's pretty weird, man. All right, let me put this up. I think I can find the other part, and the last part, which I really had a few articles and videos, has totally vanished. I have no idea why. I'm going to have to use an alternative way of storing my topics for the show, because you can't trust the scumbag piece of shit Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook Messenger. That's where I had it stored. You can't trust that fucking geek, the eagle beak control freak geek, Mark Zuckerberg, that likes to mess with people's heads and push their buttons. Okay, because all geeks do that. Even when I was in school, all geeks will do that. Okay. All right. Let me see if this appears. All right. Now, there's a message here, and I'm going to tell you what the message is and what my take is on the message. All right. Winning the 846.3 million Mega Millions jackpot, Forbes magazine. Okay, now This involves the winner of the recent, one person won. They got the ticket from a gas station in Illinois, and only one person won this. Okay, the winner of $1.28 billion in the lottery will receive, now get this, $433.7 million after taxes. From $1.28 billion, they will pay that much in federal income taxes on gambling winnings. Just take a look at that whopping reduction after taxes. Now, my statement is, why don't they make all of the top multi-billionaires in America pay that type of tax rate instead of an ordinary citizen, ordinary member of the American population, Joe Sixpack, buys a ticket, is miraculously lucky enough to win, but will only receive $433.7 million after taxes. But meanwhile, people like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, these people are on a tax vacation, and the mega rich have been on a tax vacation for decades, since Ronald Reagan changed the tax system and arranged it that way. But no, just the regular Joe Schmo buys a lottery ticket, is extremely lucky, has to pay this much in taxes. Right? See how the government is? The IRS is quick to hammer people that are not within the top 2% of the population. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's really, it's a shame. It's shameful. Okay, now I am going to try to find and I'm sure I could find it. I'm trying to retrieve as much as I can that I had on Facebook Messenger stored, where the piece of shit scumbag, big nose, hawk nose, control freak geek, let's see if I have it. Let's see. No, it's not here. All right, let me try another. It's really a shame, really, that this happened. I'm going to have to find it another way. I don't even know if I could find it. Hmm. Oh well. I'm still trying to retrieve it. Okay, if anyone is here and wants to comment on anything I just talked about. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, good. He's on Twitter. All right. Let me see. Um, no. Nope. Oh well. Thank you, Zuckerberg. Okay, I'm going to try to ad-lib it. What Jesse Ventura's newest podcast, which is on a new website, podcast website that he joined, that I can't seem to locate. He was discussing what it seemed like the relationship between the United States government and the Saudis, Saudi Arabia. In this case, he was talking about the Biden administration continuing this friendship with the Saudi Arabians. Now, we all know what the Saudi Arabians represent. Radical extremist Islam. It's their own version of Islam, where they execute people at the drop of a hat for violating any aspect of their religious laws, and and almost every single member of the September 11th terrorist group were Saudis, including Osama bin Laden. And the United States, I believe the United States government knows full well what they're up to and what they're responsible for. And but I believe that they're still maintaining the friendship because of oil. Just follow the money trail. Jesse Ventura always says, just follow the money trail. And the Biden administration is not by any means progressive. They just use the word progressive so establishment Democrats can get elected and win your vote or bamboozle your vote, pander to people. So they call themselves progressive, but they're not. They're corporatists, and Joe Biden is a corporatist, and the two-party system has made the United States into a disgraceful, pathetic nation a wicked nation, and also a laughing stock if you want to throw in the Trump administration. So that is the gist of the Jesse Ventura podcast. I'm sorry, that's that piece of shit Mark Zuckerberg made all of my my videos and articles vanish mysteriously. Okay, because that's what he did. That's what he did. But it's a good thing I have Plan B. I always have a Plan B. You always have to think, what if this happens or that happens? Never go about life without a Plan B, or maybe even a Plan C. You know, it's like if you're working on a very important project, make sure that you save as on your hard drive. You save as after, I don't know, let's just say maybe 15 minutes of working on the project. Save as and give it a title. And every 15 minutes after that, keep saving it. Keep saving it, saving it. It only takes a second to click save, because you don't want to get screwed over by a thunderstorm or by a hacker or by an internet malware, a virus. You really don't want to lose important information. Okay. Let me try something. Let me try something. Okay. Search. See if something comes up. Okay. How much? 4 minutes? Okay. Yeah, all right. All right, here we go. Now we're gonna do a share, a screen share. Okay, what this is about is apparently establishment, wealthy, I guess he's the Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer of New York. Senator Chuck Schumer has been involved with this, I guess, compromise with West Virginia's Senator Joe Manchin, the saboteur of progressives, even the saboteur of the Democrat Party. And they worked on a deal involving, I guess, inflation, climate change, or whatever. But it was like pulling teeth to work with him, like trying to squeeze water out of a stone. Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, which are farther to the right of center than you would imagine. I wish they'd just be honest and leave the Democrat Party and become Republicans, because that's what they really are. They're Republican wolves in a fake progressive sheep's clothing, pretty much, or fake Democrat sheep's clothing. And this is one of many videos on this issue, and it shows Joe Manchin's reaction while Chuck Schumer is speaking. And we will see right now.
Leader McConnell and Senate Republicans insisted they wanted a solution to the debt ceiling, but said Democrats must raise it alone by going through a drawn-out, convoluted, and risky reconciliation process. That was simply unacceptable to my caucus. And yesterday, Senate Republicans finally realized that their obstruction was not going to work.
So in case you missed it, that is Joe Manchin behind Leader Schumer, shaking his head. Manchin agreed with a number of Republicans who thought Chuck Schumer's speech was mean.
Why was that appropriate?
I just think that basically what we got to do is find a pathway forward to make sure that we de-weaponize. We have to de-weaponize. You can't be playing politics. None of us can, on both sides.
So on the one hand, no complete economic calamity for a few days or months, hopefully. On the other hand, some hurt feelings. Bottom line, they got it done temporarily. So this either shows that getting stuff done is possible temporarily, or that even doing the easy things can't be done without rancor, performative or otherwise.
Walk us through this. It's from Senator Manchin's perspective. The Republicans came forward. They gave us 11 votes. We averted a crisis. Just celebrate, be partisan tomorrow, not today.
Yeah, as Mark can tell you, the debt ceiling is one of those things that you just do. You just fix it, because if you blow it up, the whole economy gets rattled, and you just do not want to touch that button. That moment was just not. Manchin wanted everybody to calm down, move on. We've got a couple bigger things in the offing. We've still got the $1 trillion infrastructure bill, which would really be a nice gift at this time, with sagging job numbers, a low approval rating, a big bipartisan infrastructure bill. That'd be nice. Why not do that? Instead, Schumer delivers a partisan speech that went over a little bit poorly. Look, Republicans are great at kind of claiming this outrage at something. They did it during impeachment trials and stuff. But Schumer could have just taken a quick high road, moved on, and then tried to get to this bigger negotiation that lies ahead.
And it wasn't just Republicans who I'm hearing from. I'm sure you also. It was Democrats who were like, what was that? Yeah. That was not appropriate. And that head in the hands moment, which I can see it's the move that launched 1,000 memes, is it was not just about the debt ceiling. That was a culmination of a lot of frustration that he has, and frankly, you hear from progressives on the other side of the caucus with the leader about how things are going more broadly with the agenda they're supposed to pass.
Right. And I think for a lot of Americans, can we have a 5-minute timeout? Okay, Republicans, we can debate why they came forward, all of that. Can we have a 5-minute timeout? Congress did something good, something responsible. To that point, Mark Sandy, Speaker Pelosi's statement about the jobs report today, the president's speech that he's about to give about the jobs report today is going to say things are getting better. Everybody don't panic. Things are getting better. But we should pass that infrastructure bill. Democrats should come together on a bigger spending package somewhere in the area of $2 trillion. Is he right? Or would that much spending overheat an economy that does still have some troubling inflation signs?
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I think a $2.5 trillion package, pay fors that, pay for $1.5 trillion of that over a 10-year. I think that lands the economic plane right on the tarmac, a couple of years down the road. I think a year from now, all of the support to the economy from the fiscal support that's been put in place, and the Fed's going to be taking its foot off the accelerator, the economy's going to feel a little soft. And I don't think at that point we'll be at full employment. So a little more juice, I think, it lands us right on the tarmac. We get back to full employment. And in my view, and it's a reasonable debate, but in my view, the things we're talking about here, the infrastructure, the various social programs, the climate risk mitigation, leads to a stronger economy in the longer run. So I think it's good policy.
Well, we'll see. You say it's good policy. We'll see if they can figure out the politics.
Well, Chuck Schumer actually was being honest. He was actually being very kind to what the Republicans do, how they obstruct. And let me just say, of course, the corporate whores of CNN had to ride the fence, They couldn't lean either way. They had to be neutral, a little bit neutral. Now, what is this? Let me see what this is about.
Senate Majority.
Yeah, just one more on this subject. Okay, and then I'll start by showing the commentary. I'll go to the comments. That's it. I don't want to talk too long about this guy that really pisses me off, Joe Manchin from West Virginia.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin have come to terms on a deal for a wide-ranging financial package.
That's right. It is a major breakthrough for Democrats who've struggled to get the centrist lawmaker on board with certain climate and tax provisions. The package focuses on health care, energy, and climate funds. It would place taxes on high earners and big corporations while investing $300 billion in deficit reduction. The agreement is a major reversal for Manchin, who shut down a similar proposal less than 2 weeks ago. The West Virginia senator's vote is key in order to pass the bill through the 50-50 Senate.
Yeah, I got an idea. What about trimming the fat and waste off of the military budget, which is well over 60% of the total budget? How about that? Okay. All right. Along with taxing the top 1%.
CBS News congressional correspondent Nicole Killian joins us now from Capitol Hill. Nicole, okay, walk us through this. Is this the same bill? Is this the different bill? I've completely lost track. Is this an all-new agreement? What is happening? And do we really think they're going to come to a real agreement here?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, this is kind of the best of, right? We have seen this package in so many iterations over the past year or so. And so this is kind of now what at least Leader Schumer and Senator Manchin were able to agree on, and what they hope will be palatable to the rest of Democrats. In fact, there was a meeting just this morning of Senate Democrats, many of them emerging, feeling quite optimistic about this particular measure, which, as you see, would reduce carbon emissions by 2030, expand the Affordable Care Act by expanding subsidies under that program for the next 3 years to lower premiums. A 15% corporate minimum tax would be one of the ways to fund this particular measure. And then, of course, this makes a $300 billion investment in deficit reduction, which is really a critical part of this bill, because, as you know, one of the main sticking points for Senator Joe Manchin was, will this bill deal with the issue of inflation? He insists that it will, that it has been vetted by the proper economic entities
to ensure that it will address inflation, and just talking to lawmakers this morning about that, they feel that this will lower cost on a number of fronts, particularly on the issue of prescription drugs by allowing Medicare to come in and start negotiating prescription drug prices. That will bring costs down for families. A lot of these climate proposals they hope will eventually drive down some of those energy costs, although that relief may not be as immediate.
And so, Nicole, looking at sort of the political machinations behind the scenes, we know Democrats have been negotiating with Manchin for months, but he kept shutting proposals down and he seemed kind of finished with the whole thing. So politically, what changed here behind the scenes?
Well, he just wrapped up a Zoom call with reporters because he is still suffering from COVID. He was diagnosed earlier this week, but he did insist that he never walked away from the process. And while there was that period about a week or two ago where he and Senator Schumer kind of came to loggerheads over this issue, and it did appear that, any prospects of a deal were dead, he said that he and his team continue to keep working on the legislation and, trying to fine tune it to the point where a couple of days later, he said he bumped into Leader Schumer and, they kind of let those, grudges go in terms of whatever issues they had at the time. So
I'm no fan of either of these two. Believe me. No Republican and no establishment Democrat. None. I'm only loyal to progressive independence.
he insists that he's always been at the table. And quite frankly, he and Leader Schumer have been negotiating pretty quietly on this for the better part of several months. He said really these negotiations kind of really picked up in earnest back in April. And he said they were able to seal the deal earlier this week, this past Tuesday, where they were able to finally put their pens down. They finalized the text Wednesday. And of course, that's when we got that big announcement last night.
Seal the deal? Yeah, what deal? A little turd in comparison to a huge turd?
All right, well, without getting too ahead of our skis here, what do we think the potential timeline for this package would be to get to the president's desk? And are there any big hurdles that still need to be cleared that stand out to you as potential deal breakers?
Well, optimistically, in terms of a time frame, I mean, look, the Senate would like to have this wrapped up next week, and that was part of why this agreement came to the fore yesterday, because Senator Manchin acknowledged, look, we're out of town August 6th, and so in order to kind of get this moving, we had to get it done by yesterday in order to get the ball rolling. And so now, of course, this will have to be vetted through the Senate parliamentarian to see if it meets the marks for this strict budget process called reconciliation. We do expect this will be a measure that will fall strictly on party lines, where it will require all Democrats to be in support of it. Certainly one cliffhanger is whether or not Senator Sinema will be on board. We understand she was not at this caucus meeting earlier this morning and, has also been kind of very critical in the over.
She's a piece of shit. She's a Republican in the wrong party.
Overall package as it's kind of gone through its various iterations. The other thing, I mean, let's be frank, is this issue of COVID, right? We just learned that Senator Durbin is the latest to test positive for COVID. As I mentioned, Senator Manchin is out. And so Democrats are going to need every single vote possible. So that's one of those, things where we.
I wonder if they're testing positive for COVID. So nobody would bother them, so they could take the day off. So the media doesn't bother them, so they can literally, like I said, take the day off, and then they test negative, and then when they feel stress, they test positive again. Like what's going on with Joe Biden.
Can't predict if that might have an impact on the numbers. In terms of some of the senators we talked to this morning, they said that they hope that won't be an issue, but they understand that every vote is critical. And then also you've got this issue of, even if everything goes according to plan here in the Senate, this has to also clear the House. And House progressives in particular have said, not so fast. We want to take a look at this. They haven't completely signed off yet. Speaker Pelosi told reporters a short time ago she doesn't seem overly concerned about, whether or not there may be some pushback or resistance among some factions of the party, even some moderates who wanted to see some other provisions in there with respect to the issue of SALT and, state and local taxes. So that being said, this does have more hurdles to clear. Will it all get done in a week? Not so sure, but, maybe a few more weeks after that, that's probably our best hope. But again, we'll have to see, because as you know, anything is possible here on
That's
Capitol
right.
Hill.
A week does sound like a tall order, though. Nicole Killian on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much.
Yeah, especially with the fucking government we have now. Okay, let me get back to the commentary here. I bring back Vince McMahon. The guy's old. He's old. He's decrepit. I mean, his mind was he was coming up with a lot of stupid, crazy shit, Ronnie S. Yeah, right. And that's not over either. The investigation into Vince McMahon, that's not over by a long shot. Just like it's not over with Donald Trump. Not by a long shot. Ukraine is losing, but the U.S. is prolonging the war by sending billions of dollars of weapons, only adding to the destruction when they should be looking to end the fighting. It's not what I hear. I hear the Ukrainians are really kicking ass. The death toll among the Russians are pretty high. Kind of reminds me how the North Vietnamese, the Viet Cong, kicked the United States' ass during that war. Because one of the prime topics was to bring up the saboteur, Joe Manchin, the saboteur of the Democrat Party and progressives. What do you think? What do you think? I'm gonna put on Fox News on my show? Fuck that. Oh yeah, Ukrainians are the death toll among Russians. They're high, and it's getting higher. You're right, Sid. And the stress level among the Russian soldiers, they don't want to be there. That's right. You're right, Sid. You're absolutely right. I have to be honest. Hold on. Well, the military-industrial complex will always push for more wars at the expense of the lives of the sons and daughters of the poor and middle-class people, mostly the poor. Yeah, BC's he's big on the military. He's very defensive if you criticize the armed forces. Oh yeah, you heard me before. Absolutely. Trimming the fat on the military budget in terms of getting rid of waste is like taking BC and giving him the normal weight and body fat percentage that he should be for his height. That's how much bloat is in the United States military budget. Well, he was in the army. I know that. I don't know what he did. Alpha male. No, you're the alpha male. You're the alpha male, Sid. Yeah, listen, as long as establishment politicians that are in the two parties run for office, run for re-election, as long as they keep getting elected, doing the right thing for the bottom 98% of the general population is not going to happen, because both sides, Republicans and Democrats, they consist of corporate whores. They receive huge campaign contributions, therefore they owe huge favors when they get elected. And politicians are not really obligated to meet with lobbyists. Oh man, what we got going on here? Hold on. Alpha male. Boy, you guys are obsessed with BC. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, so that's the deal. Now, speaking of professional wrestling, on a lighter note, because I'm getting thirsty, I'm gonna crack open a beer that I have sitting here. That famous dynasty Samoan family, they must have something over Vince McMahon in the WWE, because he's been pushing them. He's been pushing them and favoring them, unlike anyone else who enters that company. I was only a fan of the WWF when, old school territory days, when Vince McMahon Senior was in charge. I never liked Junior. I could see right through him, even when he used to do the interviews for his father, wearing the golden sport jacket. I can tell he was a douchebag, And now, granted, Eric Bischoff was no angel with WCW. Okay. I think Vince Russo carried that company, just like Vince Russo was the primary writer for the Attitude Era of World Wrestling, WWE. Oh yeah, he had heart surgery. He can't wrestle anymore, and he can't work out heavy anymore. He's strictly in the office. He's probably, most of the time, he's probably at the main office in Stamford, Connecticut, on right off Interstate 95, I-95, which I have passed many times. And he also travels the world in the private jet with Stephanie as ambassadors to the company. Must be nice to eat the very best food on a private jet, and to go to different parts of the country in the world, No, he's not dead. It's just something I don't know. 51 years old. Well, if it's 51, you know what that's from, Sid. It's from the juice, man, the gimmick. Steroids. Why do you think so many wrestlers drop dead from heart attacks? I mean, or other complications. Chris Candido, the one that was married to that total train wreck Sonny, Tammy Lynn Stitch, whatever the fuck her name is. He had blood clots in his leg. Young guy. Doctor told him, do not get on an airline. He didn't listen. He went on the airline. The blood clots traveled to his heart. I'm sure that was from steroids. Goes on and on. Well, yeah, of course he's gonna say that. Vince Russo on YouTube told the whole story. Greg Gagne, the son of the great Vern Gagne of the AWA, he got fucked over by Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff made promises to him, that verbal promises that he did not keep. They were total lies. And this is what happens when you don't have a contract. You know, wrestling is a very seedy and sleazy and shady business, unfortunately. It always has been. Even like boxing promoters are no angels. Oh, I see mostly Russo shoots on the business. You know what the bad thing about Eric Bischoff, aside from lies, Eric Bischoff and even Vince McMahon, too much office politics. You know, you're in a business where now the state athletic commission is not involved with this sports entertainment, and there's no unions. I mean, Jesse Ventura attempted to try and start the first pro wrestling union until Hulk Hogan ratted on him to Vince McMahon, and shockingly to him. So, you know, Eric Bischoff has to take cheap shots at Russo, but there's way too much office politics. They lie all the time in that business. They're only really obligated to do what's in the contract, if you have a contract, but to agree upon something verbally or verbally in a handshake means nothing in that business. I just want to apologize to everyone before about my a good part of my material for the show mysteriously vanishing on Facebook Messenger. Mark Zuckerberg, the control freak, eagle beak geek, the fucking piece of shit. There's always something happening on Facebook Messenger. Always something happening. Let me see if I still have that photo of what a fucking pussy, spineless wimp, wussy piece of shit Mark Zuckerberg really is. Let me just check something out. Oh. Let me see this. All right. Just oh, I don't seem to have it anymore. Anyway, no, I don't have it. But anyway, regardless. Well, Russo was the main man for the Attitude Era of WWE. Well, Eric Bischoff is from Minnesota, and he started out by being a salesman selling things out of the trunk of his car. And then he was a big wrestling fan at that time, AWA, and he kept nagging him and nagging him and nagging him. I want to be an announcer. I want to be an announcer. I want to be a... So finally, they gave him a shot at being an announcer. And then he was an announcer for Vern Gagne for a while. And he took the place of Gene Okerlund when Gene Okerlund left the AWA to work for Vince for more money. I mean, it's usually the reason for a lot more money. Eric Bischoff took over as an announcer for the AWA. And then Eric Bischoff from the AWA started getting involved with, behind the scenes in other promotions. He went down south, and then eventually he worked for WCW. That's how he started. But he's a salesman, so I expect him to be a pathological liar. Yeah, Marvel superhero. Oh, come on, you guys are being silly now. You guys are being silly. Yeah, Russo was the main honcho of the Attitude Era. Of course. And talk to Greg Gagne, and he would say that he was so angry with Eric Bischoff stiffing him and lying to him that he wanted to strangle him and throw him out the office window in Atlanta. He was he's very much hated. I mean, Russo has a podcast on video. You could listen to him. Yeah, Buford Pusser, Walking Tall. Yeah, who has a big where there's a big falling out with is Vince Russo and what's his name? Jim Cornette. Yeah, Jim Cornette and Vince Russo are like at each other's throats. This is how the business is. I mean, it's unfortunate. It doesn't have to be that way, but this is how it is. Oh, so it wasn't Vince McMahon that screwed Brett? That yelled at the referee to ring the bell and say that Bret Hart submitted to Heartbreak Kid, to Shawn Michaels. I don't know, man. Well, Bret Hart punched McMahon in the face for real. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Shane O'Mac is pissed off because of the high position that Stephanie received, and he didn't get any offer to work in the executive branch of the company. It's just Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon. They're both co-chairmen. Triple H is in charge of talent, and Shane McMahon received no offer. So Shane always, he admitted he never really got along with his sister Stephanie. They were always squabbling, you know, sibling rivalry and fights. And I heard rumors that Shane McMahon is talking to Tony Khan over at AEW. That should be really interesting. So Bret Hart punched both of them. I mean, I hope this is not bullshit. Don't be laying stories here. All right. Yeah, I heard that too, Sid. Just like Sting ended the career of ravishing Rick Rude. Accidents happen. Look at Taz. Taz left wrestling because of a neck injury. You know, sometimes they happen. Like Stan Hansen, the lariat. Stan Hansen. He didn't break Bruno Sammartino's neck from the lariat maneuver, which was a clothesline. No, he was wrestling him at Shea Stadium, and because of the sweat, and Stan Hansen was really nervous during that match. He was a young guy, you know. It was like, you know, he's performing at Shea Stadium. He accidentally dropped Bruno on his head. You know, he was trying to hold on to him, but that, you know, accidents happen. But I think you're right. You're right about Goldberg hurting people. Nia Jax, another member of that Samoan family. She's known for hurting people, for being careless. Ryback was hurting people. You gotta send me these articles. I mean, I hope you're not just busting chops, making up stories. Okay. Have you heard the rumors of Randy Savage hooking up with a young Stephanie? Well, I heard Stephanie was a bit of a flirt, and that she was like a doorknob. Everyone had their turn. Not as bad as Tammy Lynn's Stitch. Now you guys are busting balls. Now stop it. Stop it. Good morning, my dear Masumi. Good morning, Masumi. It is now 5:50 a.m. Monday in Tokyo. Good morning, Masumi. Yeah, yes. The young Stephanie. And she showed no remorse when she stole Triple H from China. They shared a house together in I don't know, Vermont or New Hampshire, and they were engaged. And then you know, I can't really. I mean, young Stephanie had China beat by a mile or more. He cream pied her? Really? Cream pied her. You guys are funny. Yeah, his mother was Jewish and his father's wrestler Angelo Poffo, old time wrestling star Angelo Poffo. So Lanny and Randy were both Jews, because if if a person's mother is Jewish, the children are automatically Jewish. That's how it works. I know. I always wonder why the Iron Sheik used to call them names using that word, that terminology. You're welcome, my dear. You're welcome. We have people watching the show occasionally, internationally from other parts of the world. She hooked up with Macho, and that's why they won't put him in the Hall of Fame. Really? Really? Randy Savage was never inducted into the Hall of Fame? I would imagine Lanny would have to accept the award for his brother. Really? You see what I mean, Sid and Ronnie, about office politics and pro wrestling? I think Jason is right. I think it's time for the wheel. Because yeah. I mean, we could go on and on about wrestling, and that's a whole show. That's a whole show. I don't want to get off here too late, but let us spin the wheel, make a deal. And we have a new entry in the center of the wheel. But before we spin the wheel, to make that deal, I am thirsty. Here you go. You remember him? Alex, the beer masturbator. Alex, the beer masturbator. Hold on, brother. It looks like the Blue Chair Bay rums are legit. Kenny Chesney, the owner, seems to take them seriously. I don't know who he is, but I will take your word. I know it was tasty as all hell, Ronald, when I brought that to Fandango. Yeah, I really hate office politics. Really, people should be honored based on merit, not on personal reasons. Hey, Whiskey Scout. Yeah, well, she really was engaged to Triple H, and they really did share a house in northern New England, and then Stephanie she seduced Triple H. Mr. Whiskey Scott. Age matters less in rum making than it does in whiskey making. Spirits age faster in warm weather than in the harsher climates. Well, that's understandable. What about vodka? I thought vodka is the hard liquor that doesn't require aging. I'm just cracking open what I brought Wednesday, Broken Skull IPA, Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA by El Segundo Brewery. El Segundo. I'm trying to see. As long as I don't knock that over. Oh, it's Alex, the beer masturbator. He's got his breasts hanging out by the pool, and he's worshiping a hamburger. And he said his hamburger was moist. Remember? And you said it must have fell in the pool. What happened? You lost your memory? A young guy like you? Yes. Delicate. I don't mind aging, but I do mind excessive amounts of sugar with flavored hard liquors. Flavored. I am not a sweet fanatic. That said, the component rums used to make Blue Chair Bay are aged up to 15 months in bourbon barrels. Well, common rums are usually aged for 2 years, right? If the rum remains in the barrel for too long, the barrel flavors dominate the delicate sugarcane flavors, and the rum takes on more of a whiskey personality. Because the flavors that would, whether it's bourbon barrel or whatever barrel, the flavors that would contribute becomes the dominant primary flavor. So you lose that molasses flavor. The molasses flavor is not there anymore. Well, I was always a huge fan of rum, dark rum, aged rum, or spiced, dark, and aged all in one. Some Scotch whiskey I like. You know, the better, anything that's like 12 years or longer, it's fine. I think gin has a unique flavor, but I like it better in a martini, a gin martini, like Jean-Pierre says. Yeah, that's when I played his video on the show, just in case he decided to remove it from YouTube due to embarrassment. Okay, so through research and through, I guess, experience, maybe even trial and error, he keeps his barrel aging to a minimum. With the rum that goes into the cream liqueurs, not a straight rum that people would sip by itself, but that goes into the cream, creme de la creme. Okay, Ronald prefers Scotch whiskey. Yeah, he wants to have his burger and eat it too. Let's see. Okay, people. Yeah, only the flavored ones. I would consider the cream rums or rum chadas as a flavored hard liquor. They're not really a liqueur, but a flavored hard liquor. Even the creamed Irish whiskeys, which are really fantastic. I mean, I guess the same would apply to them. I'm very glad that they use real quality dairy. They use real dairy, not artificial flavors. And I still think that either an Irish cream or a creamed rum would be fantastic in a good dark roast coffee. I mean, I've had it, and it was. I had it during the holiday at my sister's. You know, after she made the coffee, she's hooked on this organic coffee by Paul Newman's brand. And the same thing happened with her, happened to me. As soon as I switched to organic coffee, no acid reflux, no upset stomach at all. And dark roast, I took the ice cold Irish cream, poured it right in the coffee. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I wonder what type of rum Alex prefers to pair with his burgers. You know, his mother was there, and she reminded me of the woman who worked for Dr. Evil on the in the Austin Powers movie. She really gave me the willies. Hello, we have here Mr. Ronald, Freedom Advocate Ronald J. Theriot. How are you?
I'm fine. I went to visit Alex last year. The same day I visited you. So he's very friendly. He's a very friendly person, and
yeah, he's friendly. He wanted you to take him with you up here, and then to bring him back to South Jersey where he lives, take him home, and then go west to the hotel you were supposed to in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
The itinerary, but what would have saved it was if you would have stood overnight in South Jersey and to avoid the storm, to avoid the flash flooding. But I
never thought a tropical storm was going to go all the way to New Jersey and cause trouble, though. You know what I'm saying? Like
New Jersey, New York, and then but then again, if you would have done that, you would have been able to comfortably drive anywhere. But with Michael Komaroff, he wouldn't have had that congregation that he had.
Right. So I had to like follow certain schedules that people had made, you know.
He attempted to kidnap Ronald. Look at Ronnie S. He attempted to kidnap Ronald.
No, he didn't.
Well, he was nagging him.
He didn't attempt to kidnap me. He just wanted me to stay longer, and I told him I cannot do that. And then I got lost a little bit. But I got lost, but I got to see some interesting well, you know, scenery in New Jersey next to the railroad track, and then I got back on the main highway, and then they did all that road work on, what did he say? Ronald, I agree with you about Scotch. Oh, thank you. Good hearing from you, Whiskey Scout. I hope everything's going well with everything. I've been praying, you know, keep praying. And I'm serious about that. I'm not saying it as a flip remark. Once I made it to your place, and then a huge rainstorm hit like 5 minutes before I drove up, which was no good. But then I thought, okay, it's 2:30, 3 o'clock, whatever. We're in good shape, you know. And then we go up the highway, they're doing road work. The second time we got to deal with road work, and it goes on and on for like 30 minutes.
Listen, we bitch about that. We bitch about that all the time here. And we always say, why can't they do this road work during a graveyard shift overnight instead of during prime time when people are either coming home from work or going to work or going somewhere? Why must they tie up traffic and do this now in the day? So, because it would be much better to do it during a graveyard shift.
Oh, it was terrible, you know what I mean? And then as soon as that ends, so then we lose 30 minutes there.
Yeah.
We get on the bridge. Just say, well, we're on the bridge, and the tropical storm hits, and we lose another hour.
Yeah, we lost. Yeah, we lost a big portion of time at the Michael Komaroff extravaganza. The only thing is, you know, I mean, hold on. Let me mute this annoying. Oh, that's my friend, the wrestler that was in the movie with Mickey Rourke and Marissa Tomei, Andrew Anderson. Hold on. He's on tour right now with other wrestlers. Mute notifications. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, he's the one that was in the locker room talking a few times. Arn Anderson's nephew. So anyway, yeah, he's working today. Whiskey Scout says he's out working now. I know, and thank you, Ron. Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah. So anyway, whatever time we were there at Michael Komaroff, it was a lot of fun. That's why I can't understand why he won't take something that is so different and unique, like what he does on Thursdays, and just if he doesn't want a StreamYard account, have one of us host it and go live with it. I mean, I've never seen anybody do that. But he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it because, you know, I think I have a feeling he told his wife about it, and she says, "No way, no." Guaranteed. Yeah, that's how my imitation of nagging wives.
Yeah, it would have been a great series because it's a lot of. Once we went through all that torment to get there, it was a lot of fun at the hangout for an hour and a half, whatever.
Right. Now remember the hunch I had at the very beginning about Fandango Friday, before Eric Fraunfelter bashed the whole idea, and yeah. I had a gut feeling about it, and it worked out. Well, I had the same gut feeling about Michael Komaroff's Thursday night jamboree, whatever he wants to call it. I had the same feeling, but his wife probably says, I want our private life to be private, low profile. I don't want to be all over the internet. Wait. You got a curfew. You can only go live for like 2 hours out of the week. That's when a woman, when they get older, their voice gets deeper and raspy. You know, that's a nagging wife.
Yeah, it's
when they're really old, when they get elderly, they sound like this. What are you for real? You want me to go live on StreamYard? You're gonna expose our private life? What the matter with you? That's when they really get old.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny. Actually, where I stayed was at the Travelodge in Parsippany, New York.
New Jersey.
New Jersey. I'm sorry. I meant to say New Jersey.
The guy, the wrestling promoter that I worked for, his main office and his wrestling school was the next town over from Parsippany, called Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey.
It was a real pain in the behind getting to the hotel, though, because these highways in New Jersey, most of them were built in the 1940s and 1950s, and they're real antiquated. So they have real non-driver friendly lanes. Like you can't make a U-turn for like 40 miles, and they don't let you.
What was the civil engineer that designed these highways? I mean, it's
terrible. You can't make a left turn for like 40 miles. I mean, there's no U-turn. I mean, it's insanity.
I mean, I can understand when Dwight Eisenhower first started building these interstate highways.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
The civil engineers, they weren't really experienced enough in designing them in a logical, efficient manner. But today, I know they used to have a lot. In the old days, they used to build what they call circulars, or in New England they call them rotaries. Where
Traffic circles.
Traffic circles. There you go. I know they call them rotaries in Massachusetts. But anyway, at least we got to eat fantastic seafood and
Yeah.
in a lovely area. And my postman is from New York, and he, as soon as I mentioned Johnny's Reef in City Island, his eyes lit up, and he got all big smile on his face, and he says, "Oh, I used to love to go there with my family and my friends."
Oh, so he knew about it. Okay.
Yeah, and one of the kids that worked there, when we were looking out over the Long Island Sound, the kid that works there walked up to me and started chatting, and he was a Spanish kid, and it sounded like he lived in the part of the Bronx that we would not want to go to.
Oh yeah, the bad part. Yeah.
Yeah, and he says, "Oh, I love working here because I love this area so much." I guess to him it was like a fresh air, quiet, no crime,
No graffiti.
no graffiti. Yeah, which to me is vandalism. It's not artwork at all.
No, it's not.
And I don't see these New York mayors doing anything about it.
They don't.
Call them roundabouts in Kansas.
Yeah, roundabout.
Roundabouts. Yeah, and when you go roundabout, you have to really yield to the traffic very carefully.
Right. But when I got to that hotel, finally, it was so late at night. I said, "Oh man, this is crazy!" And I had to go to the third floor, and I went straight to sleep. But I had to wake up so early, I didn't get much sleep. So the next day was a long haul, all the way to Chattanooga, Tennessee, from Parsippany, New Jersey. Woof.
Wow, Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's Chattanooga is like the eastern tip of Tennessee, isn't it?
No, it's like the central east. It's right on the border state line with Alabama and Georgia. Georgia, and it's there's a real high mountain that looks over the whole city, and there's a town on top of the mountain. The mountain's called Lookout Mountain. It's amazing to see, because you got Chattanooga down there by the river, and then on the top of the mountain, there's another town called Lookout Mountain, Georgia.
Those are the Appalachians, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bart, so was you and some 30-something woman in the gymnasium, and you couldn't focus on your workout? Yeah, you don't want to inflate her ego more than it is. I would say just you get more respect if you just concentrate on your workout and don't oogle anybody, or is it ogle? I think it's ogle.
Ogle, yeah.
Ogle. Yeah, don't do that, and just do your own thing. It's your thing. Do what you're gonna do. I'm gonna sock it too. Something, I don't know. It was an old song.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's your thing. Do what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Kind of like some kind of Wilson Pickett song or something like that. Anyway, I one day this summer I want to go to Florida on a road trip. Oh yeah, there was a battle at Lookout Mountain. The Confederates lost the battle, unfortunately, due to I would say incompetence. But yep, I'm very familiar with that battle.
Did they have balloons? Did they have hot air balloons during that time?
Yes.
Was that?
Yes, they went back. Those balloons went back to the French Revolution. They used them in the French Revolution.
They could have made dirigibles, the Confederacy, dirigibles that hold like bombs that they could just manually drop.
They just didn't have a lot of technology. They After the Battle of Chattanooga, Nathan Bedford Forrest told Braxton Bragg, who was from Louisiana, by the way, he told General Braxton Bragg, he said, if I ever see you again in person, I will kill you. He said, and that's a guarantee. And Braxton Bragg believed it, because he was so angry by Braxton Bragg's bumbling. Yeah, they were used for observation, right? They were used for reconnaissance.
I was watching this Revolutionary War movie where the Prussians were, or the Hessians, I don't know, some part of northern Germany somewhere. They were teaching the Continental Army how to use a bayonet, because what was happening is the British, instead of relying on shooting their muskets, they would just go into battle and impale the Continental soldiers with a bayonet.
Yeah. Well,
So
the muskets were so inaccurate. They were very inaccurate. So you could only hit somebody with a volley, close up.
yeah, it can't be that far away. So because there weren't rifles, I mean, so they the Prussians or whatever, Germans, whatever they were, they said, you thrust it and you twist the bayonet. You thrust into the body, into the torso or whatever, and you twist, thrust and twist, thrust and twist. So what General Washington decided to do was to sneak his Continental soldiers into the British camps at night and have them go in there and impale them with the bayonets. Now that they learned the thrust and twist, which is really not complicated.
Not Prussian. They were hired by the German-speaking King of England. Oh, well, there's a little more to that, because you had some Germans helping the Americans and you had other Germans helping the British. Remember now, a lot of people don't realize this. A lot of people don't know. They just don't know. They don't realize that the King of England, George III of the House of Hanover, was also the king later on. At first he was the elector, prince. He was the king of the German state of Hanover. So he was two different what do you call it? He was two different rulers at the same time. He was the King of England, or Great Britain. Also, he was the King of Hanover inside of Germany. So, and a lot of people don't realize that. And that went on for almost 100 years, or over 100 years, and until his son died and Queen Victoria took over as queen, because the law of Hanover, the law of Hanover was that no woman could rule. So when Victoria became Queen of England, she was not allowed to rule Hanover. So the next closest relative in England became the King of Hanover.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just think, if they wouldn't have had that rule, they would still have an English ruler theoretically over a part of Germany. That'd be funny.
Wow. Yeah, that would be funny. And I know that the French helped the Continental Army, Lafayette, right? And then there's
Marquis de Lafayette.
Yeah, and the Polish also Pulaski. Somebody named Pulaski.
He was from Poland.
Right, and they named the bridge after him over here by Bayonne, connecting, I don't know, Bayonne to Elizabeth, New Jersey, or somewhere over there. There's a Pulaski Skyway, which is kind of intimidating to cross during the wintertime.
Yeah, it's high.
Very high. It's actually, I think Route 1 and 9 think
Yeah.
you're forced to go over it.
Yeah, when I was on Route 1 trying to get to your house, I had to go over the Pulaski Skyway, and they were doing construction on it, and I was thinking, boy, this is a scary road, you know?
Again, yeah, it's very high up. It's not like really wide, like Route 80 is, you know, with the 4 or 5 lanes.
No, you got to be on your pints and quarts. You got to be on your P's and Q's when you're on that bridge.
Your P's and Q's. It's a high.
Yeah, it was built in like the 1930s.
Oh, it's even worse. I know the ancient bridges of New York, like the Williamsburg Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge. They said that they're ready to, something's bad is ready to happen very soon. And I thought every time my friend went over the Williamsburg Bridge to go to wrestling school, it would creak. It would like an old mattress springs, you know, like you would hear these sounds. And you know, I think the bridge is over 100 years old.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Those 2 bridges.
That's kind of scary. Yeah. Now, talking about a person who's a ruler of 2 different countries, there's other examples of that, and there's really strange anomalies in history and geography. A lot of people don't realize the history of Luxembourg. I have an old geography book from the 1880s, and it's from New Jersey, actually. It has a special section in the back of the book all about New Jersey. You know, it's the New Jersey edition. Okay, but there's a section about Europe, and it shows Luxembourg in Europe. You know, that little country, Luxembourg?
Yeah.
But it shows Luxembourg, and it says in parentheses, to Holland. The king of Holland, the king of the Netherlands was the ruler of Luxembourg until 1890.
So Luxembourg, so Luxembourg to Europe was like the town of Gothenburg over here is to New Jersey. It's the town is like a few blocks long. You know, it's like really small. And who knows? Maybe the mayor is also the fire chief and the dog catcher or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. So Luxembourg and the Netherlands were not connected. You had to drive through Belgium to get there, or through Germany. And Luxembourg, like you say, is small. It's almost like in the United States, it would be a county, you know?
Right.
But the king of the Netherlands was also the ruler of Luxembourg. But they had a rule, just like Hanover in Germany. There was a rule that no woman could rule Luxembourg. It's called the Salic Law. So in 1890, the king of the Netherlands died, and his daughter, I think it was his daughter, Wilhelmina, I think her name was, she became the queen of the Netherlands. So automatically, as soon as she died, Luxembourg became an independent grand duchy with their own male ruler. And there was no longer any connection with the Netherlands. So it's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Grand duchy. You know, people also don't realize that the size of England is equal to like the state of Connecticut.
Yeah, well, Louisiana, about the size of Louisiana, actually, which is not big.
England alone, yeah, not counting Wales and Scotland.
I think
Cornwall.
I'm talking about the whole Great Britain. I think Great Britain, Scotland, England, and Wales is about the size of Louisiana. It's not that big.
Okay, yeah, okay. So Scotland, England, Wales, and Cornwall, where the Cornish game hens come from, I guess, which I have to ask my sister how they turned out in her hot air fryer. Let's see. Brooklyn, New York City is bigger than Luxembourg. Yeah, Brooklyn's a big, not as big as Queens, but Brooklyn's a pretty big borough.
Oh yeah, and Louisiana has 4.5 million people, and Great Britain has 70 million. Imagine how crowded that is, 70 million.
Yeah, I mean, but driving around, I mean, when I watched that video of this Irish guy that bought himself an electric car that he was not happy with at all. There were modern highways in Ireland. I go, wow, look at that. They got modern highways. Here I'm thinking about rolling hills and little.
Yeah, but I don't think there's too many of those. I don't think there's too many. Like in England, they have mostly just 2-lane highways like we had in the 19th.
I imagine like little cottages with family farms and cows and leprechauns prancing around. Yeah, and here I see like a modern highway. Oh, jeez. Hold on. Let me get a bird's eye view of that. Michelob Light beer. There you go.
Well, this is a little bit better than your average light beer because it uses Hallertau, Strisel, Spalt, and other hop varieties. So they're using imported hops from the Czech Republic and Germany.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and they use barley malt and corn and water and hops. Water and yeast. It's more of a premium light beer. It's expensive though. I bought it just because my friend David hadn't had it in like 30 years, but it was $14.99 for a 12-pack. So,
gee. Is there any preservative? Are there any preservatives in Michelob?
The Michelob Light says that it contains no additives or preservatives, but that's what they say. Now, I assume it doesn't have it.
Yeah. Well, it'll take time, but they'll start. Well, they have to start competing with all the craft breweries that are out there.
They don't really compete. You barely find Michelob Light. You can barely find it. I found it at one store around New Orleans, but most stores don't sell it. They rather sell Bud Light, But one more thing about countries. A lot of people are not aware that Norway, and I have that in that geography book, but it's just I know about history. But Norway, the king of Sweden was the king of Norway until 1905, which is only 117 years ago.
Well, no, wasn't Norway neutral like Switzerland during World War II?
No, they got invaded, but in World War I, they were neutral.
Oh, World War I. And Norway has all those beautiful fjords.
Yeah. Yeah. But the king of Sweden was the king of Norway, two different countries, until 1905. And then the Norwegians said they didn't like that. They said, we feel like we're not a free country. We're a colony. And the king of Sweden said, oh, get over it. You have a wonderful privilege of being under the umbrella of the great and fabulous country of Sweden.
Well, did they speak a different language or the same?
Yeah, a different language, but it's similar, But so the Norwegians said, no, but we don't like that. We want to have our own king. I was reading about this, and the king of Sweden said, why would you want a different king? You have me. Look at all the benefits you have from our glorious reign.
The king of Sweden says, no Swedish meatballs are for you.
Right.
Open Yemeni.
Yeah, he said, stop eating all that smoked herring and get your mind straight.
I love it. I love smoked herring and smoked salmon. Oh.
Yeah, so the Norwegians said, well, guess what we're going to do? We're declaring independence and we're going to get our own king. And Sweden was very angry. They put their army on alert and they recalled all their people from around the world. And they were thinking about attacking Norway. And then they decided, hell, let them go. If they don't like being part of the glorious, great kingdom of Sweden, let those hillbillies go free. Because they look down on them.
I used to eat these little sardines called bristling. The company was called King Oscar. Bristling Norwegian sardines packed in sardine oil, not in olive oil or spring water or mustard. No, there were little sardines, like little minnows or guppies, whatever.
Oh man.
They're packed in smoked and packed in sardine oil, which they called SILD, SILD.
If I ever get canned fish or crabs and it says product of China, I'll put it right back on the shelf.
You don't want to get anything from China because what do you mean? The Baltic is polluted now? Well, what else are they going to pollute in this world? My goodness. I was going to tell you so. Oh, China. Agriculture. The inspectors saw on a garlic farm in mainland China. Now, if they saw this on a garlic farm, I'm sure they do it with other crops. They saw the Chinese using raw human sewage as fertilizer.
Yeah, that's true.
As fertilizer for their crops. My God.
If I see product of China, it goes right back on the shelf.
And I have a feeling it was meant for export. I could be wrong, but I know they caught them processing dead chickens that died from an illness to be exported out of China. So that's
one more thing I'm gonna get off your show, but one more thing about China. I'm sorry. One more thing about Norway and Sweden, which I don't know if anybody's interested. But so Norway broke away. Excuse me. Norway declared independence from Sweden in 1905, 117 years ago, and got their own king. So then I think Sweden got a level of revenge against them because in 1940, 35 years later, when Germany invaded Norway, Sweden said, "Oh well, guess you're getting invaded," and did nothing to help them and stayed neutral. And in fact, this is fact. You can look this up. Like Archie Bunker said, it's a fact. Look it up. When Germany needed to send troops into Norway, Sweden allowed Germany to use their railroads to help invade Norway. That's true. That's a true story. So Sweden was neutral, but they allowed Germany to use their railroads when they invaded Norway to facilitate the invasion.
I just want to tell the Whiskey Scout, did you know that, and it's a good thing I use Himalayan pink salt. Did you know that in sea salt, they have found what they call microplastics, which when it enters the human body takes a hell of a long time to purge, to detoxify out.
Oh man.
Really? The Mediterranean, in other words, there are no currents that exchange water from the Atlantic to the Mediterranean or from the North Atlantic to the Baltic. There is no current that, they're in high tide, North Atlantic waters come into the Baltic, and then low tide, it goes out. This is not occurring. I'm imagining that this is what Whiskey Scout is saying, but that's horrible. Microplastics in sea salt. Willikers.
Scary.
Yes. Boy, that was some thunderstorm. Yes, car shields. A friend of mine got suckered into getting car shield, which is like an auto repair insurance policy. And lo and behold, when things started happening to his vehicle, car shield says, "Oh, we don't cover that repair." Or what about that?
A better idea is to take whatever it would cost you every month and put it in the savings account. And then when your car breaks, use all that money you saved up to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's one good thing about the electric vehicle, or even the better yet, the hydrogen electric hybrid, is that you don't have all those moving parts like with the internal combustion gasoline engine, because those guys are thieves. They had hidden cameras. They had investigated mechanics in this region of the country here, and they saw that they were doing false repairs, where they were putting in parts that you did not need.
Yeah, they were doing that in Louisiana. And Sears got back in the days when Sears was a powerful company. In the early 1990s, they caught Sears telling people they needed repairs, and they were saying they were changing parts, but they weren't doing it.
You know, Sears got in trouble here for doing the same thing. They were like, let's say somebody needed a new alternator. Well, what they did was one mechanic in Sears took okay, low tide, high tide, I get it. One mechanic took a rebuilt alternator and spray painted it silver or whatever to make it look pretty, and installed it. Well, and charged the person for a new alternator. Yeah, I mean, it's horrible, but you know what? God bless the technology of the micro hidden camera that doesn't even look like a camera. I mean, that's really a great invention. I mean, they got a spy pen camera that looks like an ordinary pen. And it's really a high definition camera that you recharge. And the light, when you turn it on, the blue light faces you, so they can't see that it's on. But you clip it on your shirt, and that's it. You just be wherever you're at. And and if somebody wants to screw you over, well, you got them.
You got them.
You got them.
Earlier on, you were talking about Jewish people. You said, "Did you hear about this?" and "Did you hear about that?" And I thought, "What's he talking about?" Jew. Did you?
Oh, it must have came out that way. I had to have said, "Did you?" Because that would.
Yeah, I said, "What is this about Jew?"
Oh, what happened was I didn't say the word Jew during my short tirade, but a lot of the material I was going to use for the show was saved on Facebook Messenger, and I click on the link where I keep everything. Lo and behold, everything was gone.
Oh.
The only thing that was there was the StreamYard link to the show. Everything was gone. So I had to go to YouTube. I had to find a couple videos on Joe Manchin and working with Chuck Schumer. All right, I found a couple, took care of that. The Jesse Ventura podcast talking about how the United States government, including Joe Biden, is still maintaining this friendship with the Saudis, despite the reality of the Saudis. That was gone. So I had to kind of ad lib and give an opinion. And of course, it was oil. Always follow the money trail. 9/11, most of them were Saudis.
Right. Follow the money. Follow the money.
Follow the money trail. So that's what happened. Everything just mysteriously went bye-bye with Messenger. So now I have a plan B. I'm gonna store what I need in the Samsung Galaxy notebook, for the Android.
Good idea.
No more Zuckerberg.
I actually stole that bit. I actually stole that bit from a Woody Allen movie, Annie Hall, where he's telling his friend, you're anti-Semitic, you're anti-Semitic. And his friend says, you're crazy, you're paranoid. And Woody Allen says, I'm not paranoid. Listen to what you just said. Did you do this? Did you do that? I hear what you're saying. Jew. I hear what you're saying.
Hey, did you do this? Did you do that?
Yeah, and so Woody Allen was saying, I know what you're doing. You're saying it. You mean to say that. You're anti-Semitic. And his friend was saying, you're paranoid. You know, you're crazy. That was the 1977 movie Annie Hall with Diane Keaton, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with.
Annie Hall. Now, you know, I watched several videos about guys that get seriously involved and they get married, and there's a pattern, and the pattern is that they have to eventually they're forced or they're persuaded to give up who they are as a man, what they're all about, hobbies, passions, interests, sometimes friends, because the woman suddenly gets bossy, domineering, and starts telling them, I don't like that. Why do you got to do that again? You got to do that again? You're going to go where? You're going to do it? You know, you're going to watch that? Like, you know, like George Costanza with Susan, you know, he couldn't watch what he wanted on TV.
Oh, right.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Then she died by licking all the stamps.
Yeah, they're toxic because he wanted the cheap envelopes for the wedding. He picked the cheapest ones, and they had a toxic glue. And so, you know, she wanted to watch Mad About You, and he wanted to watch something that guys like to watch. Well, the solution is really 2 TVs. But anyway, a man should not have to give up who he is just because he's seriously involved. Or you could just be a free agent, live alone, have friends, have your hobbies, date, but don't move in together.
I was reading an article a few years ago about the movie The Graduate.
Oh, Mrs. Robinson?
It was an interesting article. It's controversial. Maybe I should not mention it on this channel.
But it's that was a very young Dustin Hoffman, was it?
Yes. I mean, I can discuss it, but maybe I should not.
Mrs. Robinson was an older what they call a cougar nowadays, right?
Right. Would I recommend Michelob Light over Milwaukee's Best Light, other than price difference, of course? That's a great question. Milwaukee's Best Light is probably not up to the level of Michelob Light, but on the other hand, it's half the price, so you're going to save a lot of money. So I would probably just buy the Milwaukee's Best Light. Yeah, but I bought the Michelob Light as a treat. I'm not going to go run out and pay $14.99 for a 12-pack. Sorry, I'm not going to do that every day. I just did that as a one-off. Yeah, you would probably see me with the Milwaukee's Best Light. But anyway, the article was saying that it was interesting. It was like an interesting phenomena that was set off by The Graduate, because the article was saying that it started a whole series of movies where there was this homely Jewish male, not a sex symbol by any means, like, for instance, Dustin Hoffman, right. but they always get the like super hot looking Gentile woman.
Yeah, they call her the Shiksta in Jewish.
Yeah, the Shiksta. And so they said there was like a whole series of movies after that, and he was saying like Annie Hall, definitely not a sex symbol, Woody Allen, right? But Woody Allen always gets the premier, like you say, Shiksta girls, which in reality it would never happen, you know. And they were talking about how it's just like a whole series of movies. It was like the same theme, like this homely guy, Woody Allen, Dustin Hoffman, or
Well, what happens is the Jewish guy who 99.999% of the time is reasonably financially independent. He when he dates the shiksta, he doesn't end up marrying her because then his family would have a fit over it. He dates her, he entertains her, he takes her out, spends money, and she's wild in bed. Whereas the Jewish woman, they always say they complain and they go shopping. They complain, they go shopping, and they, like the rest in peace, Don Rickles used to say, his wife just lies there wearing her diamonds and jewelry, and that's what she does. She just lies on her back, and that's it. And you know what Whiskey Scout said was right. Friends with benefits. So the shiksta becomes the friends with benefits.
Yeah, it was just talking about a whole pattern of movies that had the same theme. The Graduate, Annie Hall, and then in the 1980s, the movie with Billy Crystal and the girl. Remember, they were at Katz's Deli, and Billy Crystal, who is not a sex symbol by any means, but who does he get to go with?
Hunt. Ellen Hunt, what was her name?
No, much prettier woman.
Meg Ryan.
Yeah, right. Like for real, no way. He's not. And then the article was talking about how that kind of reflected the whole Harvey Weinstein phenomenon of him. Oh, Bart Robinson says that's what I thought. Thanks, Jay. Okay.
Yeah. It was Meg Ryan. That's right. Well, you know, Cosmopolitan magazine, they instigated a lot of trouble for straight relationships between men and women.
Helen Gurley Brown,
and along with the other very ugly feminists that were in the spotlight, you know, Bella Abzug, Gloria Steinem, and Betty Friedan. Gruesome. And they, but Helen Gurley Brown and Cosmo, with all those articles, they're the ones that convinced all these women of that generation, don't get married, don't settle down, don't have a family, work on your career, get a career, put all that all the way on the back burner. That's
I saw an article the other day. Why do feminists always try to shame women?
Well,
that was a great article. Why do feminists always try to shame women?
They do. They really put down and bash the domestic woman, the woman who chooses to raise a family or chooses to settle down in her prime and is happy with her husband and is happy with her lifestyle, and they really ridicule women like that. And I think it's that particular lobbying group that's known to hate men. I think they're behind it, and it's like but now the feminist women that chose a career, now they have, so to speak, hit the wall where they reach that age where it's kind of risky to have a kid now, and the guys are not popular with the men like they used to be. Now they're middle-aged, you know, and they're really picky because they think they're deluded. They have a delusion that they have a high sexual market value like a 21-year-old.
No,
they don't. They don't. So now
every year past age 21, your stock value will drop.
Tick, 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 like the hourglass in the Wizard of Oz. The big hourglass.
If you look at it in a utilitarian manner, the woman's stock value will drop every year past age 21. So it's a declining stock value. So when they're 43 years old and thinking, oh yeah, these guys are looking at me, wrong. Ding, ding, ding. They're not. Sorry.
They're not. And like my sister says, the ovaries start to turn into raisins. Well, first they turn into prunes. Then the prunes turn into raisins, and then the raisins turn into currants. For those that are unaware of what a currant is, just Google it.
Oh, yes, I know what it is.
Yeah, I know you know what it is. They just say goodbye. And what happens is, medically, the adrenal glands start to take over for the woman. They start producing whatever hormones a woman needs. But a woman's, they call it now, they call it sexual market value. Jay hit the nail right on the head, that there is a time frame where they become, their expiration date expires. And they, not just for having children, but they think they're in demand because, look at me, I have an executive job. I'm 43 years old. I have an executive job with this company. I'm making six figures. Of course, I can be picky, and the men are going, the young studs are going to the young studs are going to use her like a gigolo, like Richard Gere, like the American gigolo. They're not going to marry her. They're going to use her for monetary entertainment and gain, and then they're going to split
for money. Yeah. And so, you hear about this all the time. Now we hear about this. I used to talk about this when I taught psychology in high school.
Mm-hmm.
They'd say this all the time. Teenage pregnancy. What's going on in America? What's going on in America with teenage pregnancy? And I used to always say, nothing is going on. I used to tell the students, you have to understand, in the 1920s and 30s, people were getting married at 15, 16 years old. So there was teenage pregnancy just as much as now in the 1930s, 20s, and 30s, but they were all married and they would have 8, 9 children.
Yeah.
So they did have teenage mothers in the 1920s and 30s, but there weren't many unwed teenage mothers. Most of the teenage mothers were married. Now, the husband might be 30 years old.
Well,
even then it was common for the 15-year-old to marry a 30-year-old because he could take care of her.
Yeah.
He had a job, unlike the 18-year-old chap who couldn't, pour pee-pee out of a boot.
Well, my grandmother used to say shotgun weddings. You got my daughter pregnant? Well, you better marry her.
You know what it wasn't all shotgun weddings. It was just like the normal procedure. But do you know what I used to have this almanac in the 1980s, and they used to have a list of age of marriage, legal age of marriage. Do you know what the age of marriage was in Mississippi?
I can imagine a young.
Without parental consent. Without parental consent, the girl
eloping. They call it. Is that the term they
go to a justice of the peace? Without parental consent in Mississippi was 16.
Oh, geez.
But the age for males was 18.
So they didn't have much of a social life. These young people. They just.
I don't know what they did. I'm just telling you what the law said. So in Mississippi, the age of marriage for girls was 16 years old without parental consent.
Oh man.
For boys, it was 18 or older.
Mississippi.
With parental consent. For girls, it was 14.
Yeah, well, that must have been nerve-wracking for the boy to go to her parents to ask for their daughter's hand. That must have been, the father must have been, who are you, young man? Sit down. Now, do they still have a drive-through chapel in Las Vegas? Is that true?
I don't know, but I can imagine back in 1985, if you were in like Louisiana, which had a little bit stricter laws.
the chapel. They had these little chapel.
You had justice of the peace. They had the justice of the peace. So you could literally get on the bridge, cross the Mississippi River, go to Natchez, Mississippi at 8 in the evening, knock on the door of the justice of the peace's house and say, hey, my name is John Baker. I'm 35 years old. My girlfriend is 16. We want to get married.
With a fee, of course.
The justice of the peace would say, okay, that's $35. And that's it. They're married. The husband's 35. The wife is 16 years old, and nobody can say nothing about it.
Was he dressed like Boss Hogg in that white outfit? Like, it was funny. They showed a chapel in Las Vegas where the justice of the peace, the minister, was dressed like a Elvis impersonator. That was so funny.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. I'm gonna go watch the next. Okay. I've got to go make some work calls. Talking about the drinking age in Louisiana, it's kind of interesting. You have to be 21 to drink, right?
You're doing the same thing he's doing. Work calls.
Work call. In Louisiana, you have to be 20. In Louisiana, you have to be 21 to drink. But actually, there's exceptions to that rule. You can drink alcohol with your parents at home or at a restaurant. Listen carefully. In Louisiana, you can drink alcohol with your parents in their presence at home or at a restaurant starting at age 12.
Well, that's what they kind of did in Europe with the kids, but you couldn't go to a gin mill, a bar or anything like that.
But in Louisiana, you can take your 12-year-old child to a sit-down restaurant and say, I want to order 3 mimosas, and they'll bring the mimosas to you, your wife, and your 12-year-old child. No problem. No problem.
Well, when I was a little kid and I was a little too hyperactive, my grandparents gave me like 2 shots of blackberry brandy, or that, like I told you about that Sicilian Gold tangerine liqueur, and that kept me quiet. That shut me up.
Yeah, I don't know about at a restaurant though.
Not in a restaurant. No, at home. It's just to make me chill out, and then I would just go watch TV and I'd be quiet.
Right. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember an old French stomach medicine from the 1970s for upset stomach called paregoric?
I don't remember paregoric, but I do remember various medicinal bitters from Europe.
Yeah, back in the 1970s, they would give children paregoric from France, and it contained opium.
Really?
Yeah, look it up. Paregoric, opium.
Well, you can get there was a time where you can get opium over the counter in a United States pharmacy. And steroids and testosterone was available over the counter too.
And dentists still get legal cocaine for dental work. True story. Look it up.
That's very true. Somebody sent me these old 1930s or whatever photos of products over the counter in an American pharmacy. One had cocaine in it, the other one opium, the other one was anabolic.
Cocaine has many medical usages.
Yes, and the Indians chewed coca leaves for centuries or more.
Right. All right. Well, I gotta go. I love talking about medical drugs and all that. All right. Well, take care now.
All right. Take care. Bye. Have a good one.
Bye. You too.
Okay. I'm going to spin the wheel one more time, and then I'm going to call it a night, or call it a week, call it a night, and go get some dinner. Okay, let me Let me give it one last spin. Oh, here we go. I tell you, what a small world. We were just discussing that. Me and Ronald J. Theriot. Hypocritical feminism. We were just discussing this. I think a lot has been said. They are more or less do as I say, not as I do. The feminists, when it comes to career, job, earning money, they demand to be equal. And if they can do a man's job equivalent to a man, if they can do the job equivalent to a man, then more power to them. They should get paid equal pay. But socially, these same feminist women want their cake and eat it. They play the gender role, and they want special treatment. Now you can't be an old-fashioned traditional woman that wants to be the weaker sex and wants special treatment and wants the laws to favor them and wants the man to do everything, pay for everything, be the breadwinner, make the first moves, do everything, and at the same time to be the complete opposite and be a feminist. Two different worlds, two different personalities. They want their cake and eat it because they're delusional, like me and Ronald was talking about. Their sexual market value is not where they think it is, and they've hit the wall, like me and Ronald were discussing. They've hit the wall hard, but they delusionally believe that they're still in their early 20s and they should have their cake and eat it and get special treatment. Well, you know what? That's not the reality of life. Okay, anyway, thank you for joining me for Progressive Discussions. Until we meet again, our show is usually on Sundays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Unless I'm away, then the show will be postponed. I am on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and TikTok. Okay, I'm out there under Progressive Discussions. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.